Welcome to BusinessWise, the show that provides you with effective tools of management developed by L. Ron Hubbard. And these are tools you can use in your business or indeed in your life. I'm Arte Maren, and our guest today is Dr. David Singer. Dr. Singer is CEO of David Singer Enterprises, one of the largest practice management and practice training groups in the world. Dr. Singer is going to share with us some of the procedures, some of the elements that have led to the success of the company. If you own a company or are an executive in a company, this is one show you don't want to miss. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Dr. Singer, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me here.
I understand that you have over 1,100 clients that you work with. I know that you've been on the platform as a speaker and trainer with former President Reagan, Wayne Dyer, many of the luminaries. Where did that come from? How did Singer Enterprises get started?
Well, I didn't start off by speaking along with dignitaries. Mm-hmm. I was probably speaking to myself when I got started. Mm-hmm. Our company got started like all companies probably start, unless they're inherited, mm-hmm. With an idea. We had an idea that we wanted to show doctors, in particular chiropractors and those people involved with non-drug solutions to healthcare problems, whether it be acupuncturists or anyone involved in non-drug healthcare, how to be more successful in their business. Mm-hmm. We know doctors know how to be doctors, but they certainly don't necessarily know how to run a business. So we decided we would show them how to do that. Mm-hmm. So we sent a mailing out to 50,000 doctors, telling them how to send us a check each for $5,000, thinking that we would open up the mail and we'd have an instant business. Mm-hmm. It didn't work out that way. We mm-hmm. discovered that you have to work a little bit harder to get your business going. But we started with the idea, and then we decided that we would get out there and start telling people about what we wanted to do. And then people caught on once we had a few clients. We did a great job with them, mm-hmm. and they then told their friends, and the company took off. We mm-hmm. filled the need that people had.
But now, we know that the health field has been filled for years and years, going back 20, 30 years. Consulting for the health field is not a new subject. What was the niche? What was the difference that you were bringing to this field that perhaps set you aside from others?
Right. Well, the thing that we brought to our clients was the idea that there are systems that work as opposed to just concepts or ideas. L. Ron Hubbard in his works on management actually lays out methods of doing things step by step as opposed to a general concept. Like one could say you ought to manage your staff. But how do you do that? Mm-hmm. One could say you ought to give people rewards for doing a good job. But how do you do that? So what we brought to our clients was stability, sanity, reduction in stress, and most important of all, results. Mm-hmm.
And you did that based on the foundation of the Hubbard Management System, which was a laid out, synchronized set of rules and laws they could follow, as opposed to some eclectic or opposed to somebody's opinion,
right?
That we often see in the field.
Right. Yeah. Go ahead.
What was some of the? Do you feel the strongest rules or laws or policies that you brought from the Hubbard system that our viewers could get a hold of?
Well, my favorite one of the favorite things that motivates me that Hubbard wrote about was that, and basically Hubbard simply observed life and watched what was going on with people, and it was kind of like the discovery of gravity. It was always there, but people weren't quite sure why the apple fell and hit the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And what Hubbard did was he observed interaction between people and how businesses ran, and just pointed out the obvious. Whenever I study anything that Hubbard wrote, it always amazes me how simple it is and so obvious. And when you study his works, it'll strike you that way too. And one of the things he wrote about is that for people to do well in any business, they have to learn how to give to their customer base more than those customers would ever expect. And as a result of getting more than they would ever expect, they would then tell others about their great experience. So we, in our business, try to do that with our clients, give them more than they ever expected they would actually receive. Mm-hmm. And we try to teach others to do the same with their customer base. Mm-hmm. I've done seminars all around the world, actually, on just that concept. And whether you're watching the show and you have your own business or you work in someone else's business, there's reasons that people move up the corporate ladder. It's usually because their employer thinks they're doing a great job. And that occurs by knowing how to give more than was ever expected of you. It's not luck why people succeed. People who succeed, if you actually examine it, you'll find that they did something right. Mm-hmm.
It's a good point. So let's isolate this a minute. What you're saying really to our viewers and to all the executives out there is that the whole view of success can boil down to a few simplicities. One of them, so powerful, which is that one gives in abundance, that one delivers in abundance, that the client, the patient, the customer, in essence, gets more than they expected, which of course is a Hubbard datum.
Right.
Now, that's a great philosophical viewpoint.
Right.
Now comes the hard part.
Right.
How do you do that?
Well, I was teaching a seminar in Italy once on this, and I had a translator there, and went right in the middle of the show, and the presentation. This gentleman in Italian was so excited, and he was wanting to talk, and he said, "I never understood why my restaurant." In Italy, by the way, Arte, there's a lot of Italian restaurants. Right. And so he couldn't understand why his was the best in the city, or the most popular, and he had the busiest and most successful restaurant. He could never understand why. And when we did this presentation as to why people send people to others because of exchanging in abundance, he finally realized why he actually was successful. Mm-hmm. And it was that he would do things like send people home with a little bit of oil, freshly pressed oil, olive oil, mm-hmm. little canister of olive oil, or in a jar, or give somebody an extra bottle of wine. He's just one of these generously giving people, mm-hmm. And when people get something they never expected to get, mm-hmm. They talk about it. Mm. See, you want them talking about your business mm-hmm. in a positive way.
Right.
For example, I remember telling one of my clients up in Canada, up in north of Calgary, in Edmonton.
That's north.
Yeah. In fact, the next street sign says Santa's house.
Right.
Anyway, so he's way up there, right? So I was trying to explain to him how you exchange in abundance with people, and he was trying to figure out how this would actually apply to his business. So I said, it's really cold up there in the winter, and so we discussed what could he do that no one would ever expect. And so we put valet parking in the afternoon mm-hmm. in his doctor's office, because people miss their appointments when it's really, really icy out and mm-hmm. really, really cold. And the idea that when they pulled up to his office, they could get out of their car, and only in the afternoons, we didn't do it the whole day long, that someone would actually park their car. And when they got done with the doctor's office visit, they would come outside and they'd have a warmed-up, de-iced car. Mm. We only did it in the month of February, which was the coldest. But people would go home and they'd say, tell me about your doctor. And they'd say, blah, blah, blah. And they'd say, well, my doctor has valet parking. And instead of the winter being the worst time for his practice, mm-hmm. it became the best. Mm-hmm. because people got something they had never, ever expected to receive.
Exactly. Well, we know from the Hubbard Management System that word of mouth is king. And in essence, what you're saying is give them more than they expect, they will tell somebody. And that's, to use the phrase that's used within the health industry, that's a referral.
Right.
So tell us a bit more about that whole concept, how these referrals occur just out of this delivery in abundance.
Well, it's the point of it is that when somebody has something happen that's out of the ordinary, like we would advise our clients when someone is in their office filling out forms to have your assistant walk up and say, would you like something cold to drink, or would you like something warm to drink, depending on the weather. Just doing something beyond the normal that's courteous, caring. It's not like saying, hey, we'll cut our prices down. That doesn't give somebody that feeling of getting more than they expected. That's giving them a deal.
Right.
That doesn't leave them with a warm glow.
Got it.
Calling a customer after they purchase something, a few days later saying, how did it go? Is it working? Is everything okay with what you purchased? I mean, they would never forget that.
Right.
Because nobody ever does that. So it's just looking for little things you could do to show that you care.
Right.
It's showing that you actually care about another person.
Which creates the loyalty.
Oh, absolutely.
I was thinking about chiropractic. I mean, I've been a patient of chiropractic for 25 years. And I feel better after chiropractic. But then again, is it any different between one office and another?
Right.
As far as the treatment is concerned.
Right.
The reason that I go back to that office has a lot to do with things besides the treatment itself.
Yeah.
So really we're talking about customer service or patient service. Where do you put that on your list of items for your clients?
Well, any business to have duration, and in the consulting business, I've been doing it now for over 22 years. That's a long haul. And I'm marketing to a small niche and have been the leader in that field for 22 years. You don't stay on top of the game unless you're delivering a product that people are happy to receive. So it's not only, you can't exchange in abundance, so to speak, and give them something extra and wonderful when your core product is lousy. The core product itself had to be a product that really delivers. And a lot of people, when they create a business, put over attention on the sale as opposed to putting their attention on the product, because if the product is actually gotten that people wanted, and you give them abundance more than they expected, like if they buy, let's say, contact lenses, you give them a 90-day free warranty, which they never expected to get. Or you give them an extra set of lenses.
Okay. So this whole view of the product, the quality of the product, what the customer gets, we could say in essence is the first basic.
Absolutely.
Okay? I'm going to take a break. I want to let our viewers know that the technology that Dr. Singer is talking about, all the views that go into customer service, patient service, and mostly important, the organization behind that to ensure that that quality happens is available, and you're going to hear about it in a moment.
We have a different model for this afternoon.
Most of us, at one time or another, feel confused or upset about work.
Push the lights! Come on, get it together!
Perhaps the pace of our job and the problem of handling people leave us feeling stressed or overwhelmed.
Yes, I'm on the other line with him right now. Okay, John.
Or we push and drive ourselves to the point of exhaustion, when even the mere thought of continuing seems more than we can tolerate.
New figures show the unemployment rate continues to rise. The number of people...
We worry about holding on to the job we have.
Come on, we don't want to be late for our first day of school.
Or whether we can really succeed when we start a new one.
At 10:30, this place is going to be swarming with people. I mean, just packed. We have to maintain crowd control. That is paramount. We're going to have a special VIP guest coming in. We will not know the time of arrival. Keep in radio contact always. Look alive, be alert, and be nice to the press. Come outside. I'll show you the rest of the detail.
I'd like your attention. Please gather around.
Moreover, we see other people advance up the ladder for all the wrong reasons.
Jenny will be styling our next mag cover.
It's her niece. Or watch luck triumph over hard work time and again. It's no wonder that most of us worry about our ability to build a successful career and achieve stability. But work is the major role of our existence, whether we like it or not. If we don't like it, we don't like life. So how can we re-energize ourselves and regain our enthusiasm for work? Overcome our insecurities and feel confident and certain about our future? Well, in Scientology it was discovered, in truth, all difficulties and failures stem from confusions. When you're confused about something, you're uncertain. In any aspect of our lives, it is our ability to handle confusion that determines our certainty, security, and success. So, what exactly is confusion? Well, confusion is random motion. Random means without any order or pattern to it. You see, confusions are made up of data, or factors, or parts. They have pieces. As long as all the parts or the pieces of it are in motion, you have confusion. But if you can single out just one piece of the confusion and halt that, then you'll have begun to bring order to that confusion. For example, a dispatcher with a dozen calls coming in all at once only needs to single out one call as the first call to take. That call becomes a stable datum.
Hello, thanks for calling. How may I direct your call today?
He can orient all the other calls on the switchboard to that first one, and he'll feel less confused.
Thanks for calling. How may I help you today?
It doesn't even matter which call he selected first. Once he picked one to be his stable datum, the other calls fell in line.
Hello, thanks for holding. How may I help you today?
Let's take an example of a biologist who is lost in the woods. He's confused. He's anxious. Well, a confusion is only a confusion so long as no part of it is understood. So if he simply grasps one fact about the situation,
okay, the sun always sets in the west.
That fact becomes his stable datum.
Which would make that east and that south.
And he can then see how everything else aligns to that.
Which will eventually take me back.
Grasping one fact first, one stable datum, will handle his confusion and help him regain his certainty. The teacher, confronted with a number of immediate problems, only needs to pick his first target of attention to start bringing about order again.
Get up! Get up!
Now, have you ever tried to teach someone something?
And we have to maintain crowd control. That is paramount. We're going to have a special VIP guest coming in. We will not know the time of arrival. Keep in radio contact always. Look alive, be alert, and be nice to the press. You know what to do.
Only to discover later that the person made a mess of it. You may have just written it off to, well, he's just not that bright. But the truth of the matter is, he was just confused. He lacked a stable datum. One fact had to be brought home to him first.
This list is the most important thing. If they're not on the list, they're not getting in. I don't care what they tell you. You got it?
Got it.
You handle it?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, listen, if you're on this list, you're getting in.
One is stupid and uncertain in any confusing situation until he has fully grasped one fact or one item.
I'm sorry I've been getting to you on the list.
My boyfriend is the DJ.
I'm sorry, if not on the list, you're not getting in. Sorry?
It's Wilkins, reporter for the Globe.
Grasping now one fact, he can now relate other things to what he has learned.
Mr. Wilkins, you're all set, sir.
Thank you.
And thus go on to master the confusion in its entirety.
Everybody has to come around this way.
Now, you may have noticed that to handle any confusing situation, you have to be willing and able to exert some control. But did you know that there are such things as good control?
I am your new teacher. My name is Mr. Lane.
And bad control?
What's the lights? Come on!
In Scientology, you'll learn what the precise difference is between the two and how you can improve your ability to control the people and things you work with.
May I direct your call today?
There are many other Scientology tools you can use to significantly improve your chances for success. For example, you're going to learn what specific steps you can take to overcome exhaustion and recover your energy and enthusiasm for your work. You'll also discover exactly why you get tired from handling people all day long and what you can do about it. And you'll find out how to increase your familiarity and certainty with your tools so you can be in better control of your endeavors.
A lot better now. It's very good.
You can have confidence in yourself and certainty about your future.
Superstar! We did it, man!
You can have security.
Good? That's good.
People, I have an announcement to make.
You can succeed.
Today, Elizabeth will be styling our mag cover.
With these tools, you can create exactly the career and the life you've always hoped for.
We're talking with Dr. David Singer, CEO of David Singer Enterprises, and we've covered, in essence, the first part of our show and the importance of customer service, of, in essence, delivering more than is expected. David, that's both philosophically and management-wise, no doubt, a very powerful principle. The entrepreneur, the executive, now is thinking, all right, I subscribe to that idea. I like it. I want my customers to have more. Right. But you know what? I'm overwhelmed. I'm overworked. I lost 3 employees last week. So I love the theory, but I don't know how to do that.
Right.
So now we get into the mechanics behind the quality of delivery.
Right.
How does the Singer Enterprises do that?
Well, you used an interesting word, Arnie, which is an entrepreneur. And an entrepreneur is different than just the regular guy out there, because by definition, an entrepreneur is someone who should be working on their business, not just in it. You can get up in the morning and go to work and just handle whatever hits you and put in your time and then go home. Mm-hmm. But what an entrepreneur should do is get up in the morning and go work on their business, work mm-hmm. on it to improve it. Mm-hmm. And what you want to work to improve is the systems upon which your business runs.
Right. So when you say work on the business, you're talking about what's the system that runs the business.
That's right.
You run the system.
That's right.
Okay.
All businesses run on systems. Mm-hmm. And just like the human body runs on systems, you can't be a healthy person if your digestive system isn't working. Mm-hmm. You cannot be a healthy person if your respiratory system, your nervous system, your digestive system, if your systems of your body don't work, then you don't work and you are ill. Mm-hmm. Businesses are ill. They're sick because the systems that they're using are either broken or actually not there. And that's why it's amazing. Most people succeed in business because of the tremendous effort put out by the person who created it. But often they never reach their full success they could achieve had they had the business running on systems instead of running on them. So, for example, one of the systems you want to have in an office is a system to know what's going on. Management, by definition, is to be able to control something. I was teaching a seminar recently to doctors with and trying to explain to them the idea that if they don't know what's going on, the law of the universe is called entropy that runs things. In physics, there's a law that's called entropy. And what it says is that left alone, things will go into chaos. Mm-hmm. They will go into the greatest degree of random motion. For example, people don't plan how their trunk of their car looks, but it does turn into a mess. Mm-hmm. And executives, if they leave their desk alone, that desk will pile up and look like...
So it has a life of its own.
It has a life of its own. Okay. In other words, things left alone don't go better. Uh-huh. Things left alone will tend to go bad. And so one of the things that Hubbard explains in his works on management is not only the importance of why you keep statistics on things. See, a lot of people keep statistics just so they know when they're bad so they can feel bad. Uh-huh. They don't know that the reason that you keep statistics is to know what things are under control and what are not, and then what you can actually effectively do to make them go better.
Right.
In other words, most people don't even have the right statistics, or maybe they don't have any statistics. That's like flying an airplane with no controls. The statistics tell you what's happening in your business.
Right.
But what is the purpose of those statistics? Most people think they are to know when to feel depressed or know who to get mad at, when in fact Hubbard lays out step-by-step things you do depending on what is happening in an area of your practice.
Now, this would also be very true of when things are going well.
Absolutely. He has a formula on what you do when things are bad and when things are good. And if you follow those formulas, things get better when they're bad. And if you follow them when they're good, they get even better than that.
Right. Which often doesn't get attention. I'm always amazed that in many of the corporations that I've worked with and consulted for, that if things aren't going well, everybody wants to know why.
Right.
But when they go well, then it's like, well, you know, they're going well, I don't want to know.
Right.
It's karmic, you know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, let me tell you, if things are going well and you're not observing that and doing something about them going well, you will soon be handling them not going so well, because the law of entropy takes over.
Got it.
Things will go into chaos if they are not managed and controlled. So that's just an example of
So being in the know is not a matter of running around and asking everybody how it's going.
Now that's adding to the chaos and the random motion. You know, what you want to have as a business, when you walk in there, that it seems so calm and peaceful, not necessarily because nobody's doing anything, but rather you want to have a place where people are not interrupting each other. That's what I meant to say.
Right.
People are doing their job. Now, they might look busy. I don't care how they look, but they're making things happen.
Right.
And no franticness, just smooth flow of production.
And you can tell that production because it's being measured. In other words, I think what you're saying is that every function, every major function, every important function in the operation is measurable.
Correct. And then, from that, you then determine your behavior. Many executives decide what to do based on what they see or hear, rather than actually going out and finding out the data as to what actually is being produced. You know, I've had people who looked like they weren't getting anything done and were outproducing everybody else fivefold. And then you can have people who look so frantically busy, and when you actually get in there, you find out they're not producing anything. And all the most successful businesses have been businesses that have been basically employee-driven. And that's the business you want. You want to have an employee-driven business, as opposed to having a business where the executive is pulling everybody along as if they're, you know, on a sled, and they're just pulling them with their own energy and their own effort, as opposed to having the staff behind them pushing them forward. And you brought up a very important point, and that is knowing how to acknowledge and reward your staff. Sociologists, for example, have done numerous studies finding that the thing that motivates employees is not necessarily money. It's really down in the middle of the list of the top 10. Job recognition, feeling appreciated for what they do, is what makes, it's like that exchange in abundance we were talking about earlier. A staff member who feels appreciated for what they actually do and is acknowledged for that is someone who will stay with you through the thick and the thin, because in their own, all the studies show that that's what's the most important to them. Recognition for doing their job, feeling that their job makes a difference, and feeling stable on their job. And stability comes from knowing that if I do a good job, it'll be known. People know that. See, in a lot of businesses, somebody's actually in an area where there's 5 people, and one guy is doing all the work. And because he's not recognized, he goes, well, hell, why should I do that? They're not doing anything. So then they bring their production down to the mean level, which is the lowest common denominator, to not get fired. So the ability to know what everybody is doing and to acknowledge that and reward that has to do with what we were talking about earlier. People feeling that that's exchange in abundance almost.
Good point. Well, again, so we have exchange in abundance going all over the place.
Right.
There's exchange in abundance to the customer.
Right.
We have exchange in abundance from ownership or management to employees.
Right.
We have exchange in abundance from employees to management and to the public, and we get this synergy.
Yeah, you want to take your business and turn it into a game. You know, I mean, you want to make it into a fun place to be, not a place where people punch a clock And that comes from a number of different elements that Hubbard lays out in his works, from motivating them with a purpose, to having competition, to win things, to be rewarded, setting goals for the business. You know, I remember this doctor in Alabama setting a goal for his business and his staff, and when they hit that goal, he was going to take them on a cruise. Now, these people had never been out of Alabama. They had seen magazines and they read about being out of Alabama. And when he told them that if we reach this goal, I'm taking all of you, you know, to the Bahamas, you know, I think it took 6 weeks for them to reach a goal that he, in 20 years of business, had never achieved, because he let the staff know there would be a reward.
Right. He created a game out of it. Yet, you know, we talk about game, yet people think business is serious. But I think there's a good point there. That,
you know,
it is still a game.
Oh yeah, I got to tell you, Artie. You know, this last New Year's, we were on I took the family on a cruise, on the largest cruise ship in the world, the Navigator of the Seas. And I took a bunch of clients with me because we normally have a vacation at New Year's, and I have a bunch of clients. We go on vacation. And I was talking to the management of the Navigator of the Seas, and they told me that once a year, this company from Germany charters the entire Navigator of the Seas to reward their staff. The whole staff go from Germany to the Bahamas, and they have the whole cruise ship, and it's an open bar. It's whatever they want.
And it no doubt pays back in spades.
Well, no executive would just do this to waste money.
Got it. You know, I want to read something that L. Ron Hubbard had said 3 November 1966 on an essay on leadership. He said, "The way to have up statistics, a prosperous and happy group, is far more simple than complex man has ever realized." I think you've given us a lot of that simplicity in what you've said, and certainly you've demonstrated it in the company itself. And I want to thank you for coming and sharing this time with us, and some of these basic truths and materials that you've gotten over the years.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Dr. Singer. Thanks for joining us. I hope you feel as I do that we've heard some important rules, guidelines, and fundamentals from Dr. Singer and his application of Hubbard management principles. We look forward to seeing you again at our next show. Thank you. Good night.